All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of the 2 Plus podcast. Today, I'm going to go through a new segment we're doing called Meta Movers, which looks at the lists that are brought to international events that tend to shape the meta, at least in competitive play, around tournaments around the world and even start bleeding into the local scenes. We've done this sort of thing before, but this opportunity has come around just based off the SBOT2 tournament lists. The tournament is currently underway. A couple of matches have already been played. And I was having a look through the lists yesterday, trying to see what Australia's pride of old world Daenerys was running, and I saw that he was running a Tomb Kings list, which I'll get to in a second. But I wanted to start on this list here because it kind of shows the next step in the meta that we're seeing. Anyone who follows the scene would have seen an interview that Ed on Close Order podcast or YouTube channel did with a guy that won a tournament. I forgot his name, sorry, but won a tournament in England running 90 Night Goblins with poison shooting and an elementalism caster. And this is a variant that we're seeing. It's very similar, has the same crux in there that is in the SBOT list. So this run works exactly the same. The basis of the list is there is a group of 90 Night Goblins with the Spider banner, and they have 3 Fanatics in there. And he also has 2 level 4s, one running Elementalism with a Power Scroll and Lore Familiar. He takes Plague of Rust and Travel Mystical Pathway. And then he also has another level 4 running War Magic to cast Itchy Nuisance. The combo is this one lowers the toughness of an enemy dragon. This one lowers the armor of an enemy dragon and then teleports this unit into range with their short bows to make sure the whole unit can fire at the large target, throwing 90 poison shots at something with 9 wounds at best, a 3-up first save, obviously more saves to come, and lowered toughness. The guy who is credited for spawning this list, I think he said he did 30 wounds to a dragon in one roll. So this is purely built to counter the dragon meta that we've seen dominate old world. And it seems to be catching on and being quite successful so far. The rest of the list, obviously there's Doom Divers in there, which are great. But the rest of the list, really not a big issue. I'm sure there are reasons behind this stuff, but really it comes down to the Night Goblins. This one has an extra unit of Night Goblins. I don't think the original version of it did, just I presume to carry 3 more Fanatics, because the one weakness of this list is Bretonia in particular and multiple charging units. But Fanatics counter the Bretonians, so that might be a mitigating factor. And I'm pretty sure it wasn't in the original list, but happy to be corrected there. But what I've seen here, so as I said, I was looking for our good friend Daenerys, who is here. This Daenerys was the guy who won the first SBOT tournament, is probably credited with creating the pillar spam strategy with Wood Elves. I think he was the first one to do it, at least with success, and especially at a scale of this in a 100-person tournament. He basically swept the tournament, won the final, and created what everyone loves to hate at the moment, which is Wood Elf pillar spam with a dragon. So naturally, I went to find what he was running this tournament. I was surprised to see that he moved to Tomb Kings. I heard again from Ed's interview with him off the back of the first SBOT that he was kind of done with Wood Elves. He'd completed that game and was looking for a bigger challenge. Whether or not this is a challenge is another question, but it's a similar premise to the previous list. There's a few questions, though, that I am not sure the answers of, and I'd love for you guys to tell me if possible, because Tomb Kings is not my most experience list. I don't build a lot of their lists. I've never played against them. I know the basis of them, but I don't know the ins and outs of everything. So as you can see, he has a giant skeleton infantry cohort. They have Nehekaran phalanx, which means instead of giving ground, they don't move unless they're double outnumbered when they lose combat. 94 Royal Host Archers with the Amulet of the Serpent, giving them poison. And then they also have the Banner of the Desert Winds, which gives them reserve move and Vanguard. Similarly, they have, because this is a Royal Host list, he has 2 wizards, but they can only be level 4. Yeah, he has 3, actually, but he has 2 casters that are level 2, one running Elementalism with a Power Scroll and Lore Familiar, you'd presume for the same reason as the Night Goblin list. The illusion part I can't figure out, so I'm happy for someone to tell me what the reasoning is behind that. Tomb Kings also have a couple of good signature spells that lower toughness. One of them lowers toughness, and one of them allows units to re-roll ones on a roll to hit, which I think applies to shooting, but again, correct me if I'm wrong there. Enkil's Canopy is a single-use item that clears the board of remains in play spells, so it could be a pillar mitigation factor. He has a Tomb King with a Rise, running Necromancy level 1, and the Oak Blade on a Chariot. So this is another part that I'm sure Tomb King players knows, but again, please tell me. But there's a number of chariots in this list. This one here has the Death Mask of Kanut, which gives it terror. I don't know whether this Tomb King goes into this unit or to the side. Light chariots, which a skeleton chariot is, I believe, can go into a unit of infantry, so it could go in there. I don't really see the point of it because he can't cast a Rise, so I presume he sits to the side, casting a Rise, and fighting any big bads that come close to him or the unit. Daenerys isn't the only one doing this, although I'd say that him doing it gives it a lot more weight. There is another list that's almost identical in the Europe on bracket, 107 archers in this one, so he's one-upped him there. But really, essentially, it's the same list here, almost the identical, well, it is identical magic items and all. So what we're seeing here is probably one of the more obnoxious metas that you could think of, with a giant, immovable, possibly unkillable block of infantry. This does answer the dragon meta, but it probably is even less friendly to play against, I would think. I'd be interested to see what beats it, because like the Night Goblin list, the Bretonnian combo charge strategy is probably the best way to go about it, but even that I don't think would necessarily work. So we've all been calling for the answer to dragons, but really, are we happy about this? I'm sure there'll be a lot of people that would say this is a -10 on the 1 to 10 is this Warhammer scale. I don't think anyone would appreciate seeing this plonked on the table if they turned up to a tournament, but this is within the rules of the old world. So power to people figuring out these new metas and new ways to shape the game. I think this will put a whole lot of pressure on TOs to mitigate this sort of list, because, as I said, this isn't your sociable list. I don't think there'd be a person that would see this drop down and go, oh, yay, 107 archers that I need to fight that I probably can't kill. So let me know what you guys think in the comments, because this is what I would say is the next step in the meta. We've seen screens, dragons, Bretonnia, double dragon, pillar spam, not necessarily in that order, but now we're seeing the poison DEATHSTAR shooting block. This one for me is the most egregious, but I'll let the viewers of Old World and 2 Plus Podcast decide. So thanks for your time, everyone. If you've got something that you can enlighten our fans on, please leave us a comment or give me a lesson, because, yeah, as I said, Tomb King's not my strongest point. But thanks again for watching. Talk to you soon.